They have posted, who's your San Juan, Puerto Rico MVP? And these are the candidates: Paige Bueckers, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, what? Ryan Howard. I can see Howard being in the mix here because her scoring has been lights out. Jackie Young, and then a bunch of other players down here. And all I can tell you is I don't know what happened because I went over and voted once early this morning.
Something very strange happened during the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And if you've been paying attention to how Caitlin Clark gets treated in women's basketball, what you're about to see is going to feel disturbingly familiar. FIBA posted an MVP fan vote for the tournament. The candidates included Paige Bueckers, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Ryan Howard, Jackie Young, and several other players. Standard social media engagement, right? Let fans vote for their favorite player's performance. Except the voting pattern that emerged wasn't standard at all.
And Caitlin Clark was running away with this joker. And then all of a sudden, this happened. I don't have any idea how Paige Bueckers got this many votes this quickly. And by the way, this was actually a wider spread for a little while. But Caitlin Clark and her fans are catching her up right now. But this was a pretty...
Early that morning, Caitlin Clark was running away with this vote. We're talking a commanding lead that reflected her actual tournament performance. She was leading Team USA in points, assists, plus-minus, and efficiency rating. The numbers backed up what fans were seeing on the court. Then something happened that defies basic logic about how social media engagement works. Within a span of 15 minutes, Paige Bueckers' vote count exploded. Not gradually increased, exploded. The gap went from Caitlin leading by thousands to suddenly trailing by a margin that kept growing at a rate that made absolutely no sense for organic voting.
People are raising, hey, what is going on? Suspect allegedly buying bots to help the Paige Bueckers win the fan vote. Gino Auriemma, the Yukon Mafia, guys, we've talked about them. I mean, the agenda is once again thick. It's real thick right now. I mean, you look down through here, and it is hilarious.
Look at those numbers. 168,000 votes. 156,000 votes. These aren't the voting patterns of real human engagement on social media. One commenter noted that Paige gained 7,000 votes in approximately 5 minutes. Think about what that means mathematically. That's 1,400 votes per minute, 23 votes every single second, for 5 straight minutes. Unless there was some coordinated flash mob of Paige Bueckers fans all hitting refresh at the exact same moment, those numbers don't add up to human behavior. They add up to something else entirely. And the comments section noticed immediately.
It's starting to look like bots are flooding the Paige Bueckers situation. Somebody pointed out there's no way a 3,000 vote gap is surpassed in 15 minutes unless bots are involved. I mean, what is going on here? Right here, FIBA's been unserious this whole tournament, from commentary to this fake voting system. Disclaimer, this fan vote is not an official statement from FIBA, meaning that there's going to be no responsibility if any foolishness goes down. Is that what we're doing here?
The accusations started flooding in. Bot voting, artificial inflation, purchased votes. People were demanding FIBA implement human verification and daily vote limits. The IT-savvy commenters were pointing out that any competent tech team could examine the voting data and determine whether the traffic was legitimate or artificially generated. But here's the detail that makes this particularly suspicious. FIBA included a disclaimer on their poll. This fan vote is not an official statement from FIBA. Translation: we take no responsibility if this voting system gets manipulated. We're just throwing this out there for engagement, and whatever happens, happens. That's not how you run a legitimate fan vote. That's how you create plausible deniability.
They're accusing the Caitlin Clark fan base of buying bot votes. I just don't know that I get that. That I agree with that. This was 4 hours ago. You can see right there. Caitlyn was leading. And then all hell broke loose. I mean, we're talking, look at these amounts. 168,000, 156,000. What is going on? Damn, y'all using bots for Paige or what? It looks fishy. It looks very...
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Paige Bueckers plays for the Dallas Wings. How many of those Dallas Wings games sold out this season? The answer is not all of them. There were multiple games where that arena was visibly not full. Paige is a talented player, absolutely, but she's not drawing the kind of massive, rabid fan base that would mobilize 7,000 people to vote in a 5-minute window for a FIBA qualifying tournament MVP poll. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has generated the kind of fan engagement that crashes ticket websites, sells out arenas in minutes, and drives television ratings to historic levels. Her fan base is documented, verified, and massive, so which scenario makes more sense? That Paige secretly has this enormous, highly organized fan army that just doesn't show up to her actual games? Or that something artificial happened to those vote totals?
We know how this goes. I mean, but we're talking about somebody, let's just keep it real, that many Dallas Wings games did not sell out. I mean, there were times that arena was not actually sold out, not full. And we're supposed to buy this? We're supposed to believe this. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to choose to give this the fuzzy eyeball. To give this thing the one ass eye. This seems fishy. It seems weird that Caitlyn was running away with this thing. And then all of a sudden, what happened exactly? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
The comments kept coming. Accusations about the Yukon Mafia. References to an agenda that's been visible all season. Mentions of a TikTok fandom bot army, though the specifics on that remain unclear. What's clear is the pattern. Every time Caitlin Clark is positioned to receive recognition for her actual performance, something happens. A narrative shifts, a controversy emerges, a voting system produces results that don't match observable reality. This isn't the first time. This is the continuation of something that's been happening since she entered the WNBA in 2024.
And now, of course, yeah, a lot of people are like, okay, there's bots going on. People are talking about Paige Bueckers and some kind of TikTok fandom bot army that's happening right now. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know what that's about. But it does seem very, very suspicious. All right. Kind of like, hey, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona if you want to buy it. Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a deal. Okay. That's not something legit. Tell me what you think. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Tell me in the comments section, is this fishy or not? I'm calling bullshit. There, I said it out loud. Calling the bullshit.
Here's what makes this significant beyond just one social media poll. FIBA is an international basketball organization. This is a World Cup qualifying tournament. The credibility of their fan engagement matters because it reflects on the sport itself. When voting systems can be this obviously manipulated, and when the organization running them includes disclaimers that essentially say, "We're not responsible for the integrity of this," it damages trust, not just in that one poll, but in how the sport handles recognition, awards, and fan engagement overall. Caitlin Clark's statistical performance in this tournament wasn't subjective. Points, assists, efficiency, plus minus. These are measurable. She was objectively leading Team USA in the categories that matter for MVP consideration. This wasn't a close call where you could make arguments for multiple players, and yet the fan vote, the one mechanism where her massive, documented fan base should have been an overwhelming advantage, produced results that required either believing in the sudden existence of a secret Paige Bueckers fan army or acknowledging that the voting was compromised. The comments section chose the latter. They called it fishy. They called it suspicious. They demanded investigation. They compared it to being sold oceanfront property in Arizona, a deal that's too absurd to be real. And they're right to be skeptical, because the alternative is accepting that we just witnessed one of the most improbable organic social media voting surges in recent memory, happening to benefit the exact player whose actual game attendance suggests she doesn't have that kind of fan mobilization capacity. The UConn connection keeps coming up in these discussions. Paige Bueckers played at UConn. There's a documented network of UConn-connected people in women's basketball media, coaching, and administration. Whether you call it the UConn Mafia or just the UConn Network, it exists. And people have noticed that players from that program seem to receive certain benefits and narratives and recognition. Is that what happened here? Did someone with access to bot networks or vote manipulation tools decide to push Paige's numbers because they preferred that narrative to Caitlin winning another MVP recognition? Without FIBA releasing their voting data for independent analysis, we can't prove it definitively, but we can look at the patterns, the numbers, the timeline, and the basic logic of fan engagement. 7,000 votes in 5 minutes doesn't happen organically for a player whose home games don't sell out. That's not how fan bases work. That's not how social media engagement works. That's not how any of this works unless something artificial is involved. The broader implication is darker. If fan votes can be manipulated this obviously with this little consequence, what does that say about other recognition systems in women's basketball? What does it say about all-star voting, award voting, media narratives? Caitlin Clark has spent her entire professional career dealing with this. Record-breaking performances followed by narratives that minimize them. Historic achievements followed by controversies that shift focus. Statistical dominance followed by recognition going elsewhere. At some point, the pattern becomes too consistent to ignore. At some point, you have to acknowledge that there's resistance to giving her credit, even when the numbers make it undeniable. This FIBA vote is just the latest example, but it's a particularly blatant one. Because unlike subjective media narratives or complex award criteria, this was supposed to be simple. Fans vote for the player they think deserves MVP. Caitlin has the fans, Caitlin has the performance. And yet, somehow in a 15-minute window, the vote totals shifted in a way that requires either believing in magic or acknowledging manipulation. The question now is whether FIBA will investigate, whether they'll release the voting data, whether they'll implement actual security measures for future polls, or whether they'll just let this stand, hide behind their disclaimer, and pretend this was legitimate fan engagement. Because if they do the latter, they're telling us something important, that integrity doesn't matter as much as avoiding controversy, that protecting certain narratives matters more than protecting the credibility of their own engagement systems. And that's a problem that extends far beyond one MVP vote for a qualifying tournament. That's a problem that speaks to how women's basketball handles recognition, fairness, and the uncomfortable reality that their biggest star keeps getting treated like she doesn't deserve to be. So was this fishy? Absolutely. Was it suspicious? Without question. Does it fit a larger pattern? Undeniably. The real question is what gets done about it. Because right now the message being sent is that you can manipulate these systems, and as long as you don't make it too obvious, nobody will stop you. Except Caitlin's fans noticed. They documented it. They called it out. And they're not buying the idea that this was legitimate. Neither should you.